Hey, it's Ephraim. I just wanted to talk about If some more. I already posted a review of If, but I didn't get to say everything I wanted to say about it. And in fact, the review I had before was much longer, but I felt pressured to cut it down to keep it to my usual 3-minute runtime. But I still have thoughts about it, and I want to share some of the ones that I didn't get to share before. But here's the thing. Most of them are quite critical.
Keith!
I wanted to like If. It had a bunch of people I really like behind it. And I don't want to dislike any movie. And especially something for kids. Kids don't necessarily need a film to be good. They just need to not be actively boring and have some interesting things in it that they like looking at. And this film had interesting things that they liked looking at. But I don't think it was very good, and I guess what I want to convey is my surprise at it not being this great, because it really seems unusual. This movie had a lot of money behind it. It had $110 million. $110 million just in the film is a lot of money. And it had Ryan Reynolds and it had John Krasinski. Ryan Reynolds is a producing powerhouse right now. His brand is extremely strong, and it's only going to get stronger when the new Deadpool comes out. John Krasinski is a force unto himself, with his goodwill from The Office combined with his general good demeanor, combined with his producing and then directing stuff. He's a staple of American culture. He basically can do anything he wants, and he's worth like $80 million. He has, I think, the financial freedom to try things out and get things made. And that's what I'm to understand this film was a result of him kind of pitching an idea and having some kind of flexibility with the script and stuff like that, because his brand is strong enough that they trusted it would be able to make money if they pushed it hard. And it probably is going to make money, and that's good, because things should make money. And, I don't want films to fail financially unless they're like really bad, and I can't really think of a lot of films that are that bad. But I don't think this film is going to be a success. I don't think it's going to make much of a profit. If we count in things like the advertising budget, it probably won't make a profit at all. Maybe if there's like a merchandising line, the merchandising will make a profit on its own paper, but it's not going to be a smash success, and that's a shame for all of us. So I guess I'm just kind of looking at this and I'm like, what the heck? This film was interesting. It was a story about a girl whose mother died when she was young, and now her dad's getting a surgery, and so it's in her head that she's thinking, loss happens. When I was younger, I lost my mom. Now I'm a little older, but I'm still a kid, and now my dad's in danger, and it creates all these thoughts within her. And then the imaginary friends that suddenly start appearing are kind of a reflection of that, because when they were younger, they were forgotten by their creators, and now they're still wondering if they can ever reconnect with them. Same way, you might wonder if you can reconnect with an absent parent. So it's a powerful metaphor on paper, and kids like imaginary friends that are cute and fuzzy and stuff. But the thing is, the movie is majorly underwritten. It's super boring in the first act, it's kind of boring in the second act, and you kind of lose steam by the third act. I was looking at my watch like 35 minutes in, because the story hadn't started properly yet, and it's only an hour 45 minutes, which I guess points to it for not being too long, but if it's that boring throughout, then it's like, why are people going to watch it? And the answer is they probably won't. It's a shame, because it seems like it could have been quality children's entertainment. It seemed like it was courting the Pixar brand even, and Pixar is one of the names in children's movie entertainment. But they failed, and it's surprising to think that, because it seems like they wouldn't fail. And when I look at this as someone with a bit of knowledge about how films get made and how they get crafted, the thought I have is, as cliche as perhaps it sounds, is to say, they didn't have enough writers on board. Let me explain what I mean by that. I think it's a very basic complaint to say like, oh, you should have written it better. It's like, yeah, duh. Everything could potentially be written better. And yeah, usually when a movie is bad, it's because the things that make it up don't necessarily add up in a way that makes sense. So you think, oh, well, it's the writing. The writing is almost too basic of a complaint, even if it's accurate. But in this case, I do think it's accurate to say that that is kind of the issue. When I look at this based on my limited knowledge, the thing I want to say is, it seems like they wrote a draft, and then they wrote maybe second, third, fourth, fifth draft, and then just let that be it, and then, let it keep developing through shooting and editing, but kind of left it at that. And it says, famously, it was boasted as, written and directed by John Krasinski. But here's the thing, it wasn't that good, John Krasinski. And I guess I feel a little weird saying that because you're one of the internet's go-to boyfriends, but you're not my go-to boyfriend, so I don't have that attachment. I think we, the public, have the idea of the director, auteur, writer extraordinaire who has the idea of a film and just states it in his head and then birds it from beginning to end, from his mind to the screen, and it's all a realization of his singular vision. And there are one or two directors who do that, like, Chris Nolan, I think, technically counts as doing that often. But in real life, most great directors, and especially films like this that are very corporatized and built to be business friendly and let things like merchandising happen, most films like that are made by teams of people, by 2 or 3 writers, in addition to the director, who always indisputably puts his touch on the product. And this didn't have that, at least that we could tell. And that's why it feels like a mess to me. It feels like, a 3rd or 4th time directorial effort, even though this is like a 6th time directorial effort. It is boring, it isn't very dense, the performances aren't always good because I think they're not anchored by strong purpose. Things seem like they're going to matter but then don't show up. There aren't enough things that do matter. And it all adds up to this kind of unclear emotional direction. I can't necessarily tell what anyone wants aside from 1 or 2 characters because I can't see what bothers them or what they're afraid of losing. All this to say is that they should have had more writers on this. They're quoting the Pixar formula, and you know what? Pixar works hella hard at this. Do you think they created the opening sequence from Up in 1 or 2 drafts? They were honing that thing all the way through production, I guarantee. Writing is one of those things where people just say, oh, well, it's just writing things down. It's not that hard. It's not that labor intensive. And in a sense, yeah, it isn't that hard in terms of physical labor, but you have to make a lot of right decisions, and you have to make a complex thing. And it may not seem complex because when you walk into a movie, the movie just washes over you and you don't have to think about all the individual things in it. But that is a result of very carefully crafted writing. There actually are a lot of complex things being snuck in. You just don't notice it because the writing delivers it to you so smoothly. Really good writing is the result of months of dedicated work where people study every little aspect of the information being delivered and find a way to deliver it that is fun, that's interesting, that doesn't disrupt your attention, that's engaging, and that's exciting, and that's all the things that you want that piece of entertainment to be. It takes real labor, and not just one person can do it most of the time. Even Christopher Nolan, one of the great perceived writer-director auteurs currently living, falls into this because A, on all his franchise work he had dedicated script writers. B, a number of things he directs is adapted from other works, so he already has a writing framework in place done by someone else. And C, when he doesn't have either of these things, his films are more likely to be criticized for not making sense. So in fact, he doesn't disprove my point, he actually proves it. I don't want to prevent anyone from enjoying the film. If you want to go see it and enjoy it, just have your experience. Just, let it wash over you, let yourself have the experience. I'm not here to say, don't enjoy it. But I am here just to say, I don't think it was super great, and I think it was for these reasons. And I think we as a movie-going public should walk away from it and hopefully learn something of value. It's great to have a nice, warm personality, but it's not enough to have a nice, warm personality when you're trying to sell something big and complex to the entire world. It needs to have more complexity and a higher level of sheer labor put into it from a writing perspective, and that applies to all of us with the stuff we make.